getting a couch and we're going to have a nice topic about being in love and what it takes, getting into it, and now it has gotten into a pedestal. But we have pastors in the house, so maybe it's got something to do with that. So my name is Palesa. On my day-to-day basis, I am mainly involved with property. Where I get involved as far as divorces are concerned can be summarized in really a sentence. I just wait for all of that procedure to happen. The settlement comes in and I know exactly what is supposed to happen with the property. There's a GP and then there is a dentist. So that's where I get in. Last year I wrote an article for a property and a diverse magazine, and it went quite viral. And news wanted to know about it. It was around Women's Month, and it was about how women can protect their property assets. The intention was not to educate women only, but around the timing, it seemed most appropriate to sort of direct it and dedicate it to that for my contribution in terms of Women's Month. But in essence, I think the line that struck this was the D word is inevitable. It's going to come. Not divorce, it can be death as well. Death or divorce. And that is why it's so important that when people think into joining themselves as partners for the rest of their lives, these conversations are had. And they are had openly and they are had independently. I know most of the time, some people also are not aware that you are allowed to get independent advice. You don't always have to go to the same attorney that you feel like I've known Shabangu for this long and I feel like he understands me and he will know exactly what I stand for. One can go that way, one can go that way, and then we come and we decide, this is what I have heard from my legal advisor, what have you heard? I have heard XYZ, what is going to work for us? Because we also need to think, where are we, what are we trying to build, and what capacity do we have for getting into things that we are building. I get mostly involved in terms of notary when we sign anti-nuptial contracts, because that has to be registered with the deeds office. So the advice comes in there, especially in terms, now when we're talking anti-nuptial contracts, there's no community of property. We are solely talking accrual or out and out. And each relationship, I think I've learned, has its own personality. One glove doesn't fit all. And it's very important to be upfront about what is it that I would like to see happen into this union that we are nourishing. I am willing to bring my part, and this is how far I want my part to stretch us. Your part can mainly get us here. I want to be at home, but I know that me being at home doesn't mean I don't really work. I will work. I'll have a business that I'm running somewhere. You will be the one who goes to work every now and again. How am I going to be protected if anything happens in our marriage? Because your family might think I was just sitting at home and using up your money. But the person who signs your suit when you go at work, the person who cooks, the person who looks after the kids, and so on and so on, that might not be taken into account. So those are the things that are mainly looking after or taken into account when we're looking at anti-nuptial contracts. The other thing are inheritances, because you find that families are very sensitive around, hi, you have this legacy or you come from this particular family. And they don't necessarily have reservations about what you are going to bring into your life partnership. It is just a matter of there are some things that we prefer to keep Matsheka. Right? So even if you are going to become a Vumbi, there are things that we want to remain within our stream of legacy. And those are the things that we also look into in terms of the anti-nuptial contract. I think it falls under the topic for Mr. Brandon to look in terms of forfeiture and exclusions and so on. So I'm not going to steal his part of the work. But there are things that you can decide when you are signing up your anti-nuptial contract to say, these are the things that are exclusively out of any accrual that we can ever be involved in. And mainly, it could be things like that, continuing legacy, because that's not going to stop because now you are married. It's going to go on. The other thing is mainly when there are bonds involved. So now that whole process of contesting or uncontesting the divorce has happened, and partners have decided this is the party that is going to keep the house. You can decide while the settlement is being spoken about whether you want to transfer your half share to that other party, or in other words, buy them out, or are you just donating it, or how are you settling it? In instances where you buy the other party out, then obviously there has to be some sort of financial reconciliation that happens. Because if I am instructed to attend to that, I will want physical money coming in to see, unless if the settlement is saying this has been done according to the settlement and the financial aspect thereof are handled with the litigation procedure. The problem kicks in where there's a mortgage bond involved, because now we owe someone. And we need to deal with that before anyone can accept any transfer moving forward. So what will happen then is that we will need consent from the mortgagor, or from the mortgagee, which is the bank, to say we are agreeing that this person can transfer their half share to the other party according to the divorce that we are aware that they have entered into. We have finalized all the financial aspects according to what is owned, and we are willing to also consent for a substitution of a debtor. So a substitution of a debtor will mean you are taking over all the liabilities and all the rights attached to the bond to yourself. So you're accepting that person's ownership as well as their liabilities as far as the bank is concerned. When we are doing the transfer then, the half-share transfer from one party to the other, because the other one has always been a half-share owner, now they need to be the complete owner. When we are doing that, everything happens simultaneously. So it's not two separate transactions that go on. Also, the bond can be cancelled. So it can be decided that instead of one person carrying on the debt of the house or so on, whatever it is, the assets that we have accrued here, we can see how we can sell them, or we can see how we can use what we have to settle that debt of the bond. I must say, most husbands are nice. They just say, keep the house and the kids, I'm out. Yeah, no, and as long as it's just the freedom, I'm out. Keep it. So that is quite the trick. I think most of the engagement we will sort of get on as soon as I hear some of the questions that you have, and we can be able to be more direct at the things that you would like to know about. Otherwise, it can be a lecture that really goes on for the day. So thank you for the opportunity, and we will chat again soon.